Hi, this is how to cook venison part 3, and today we are going to use this fantastic cut. This is venison neck rings. It's obviously got the bone in, and as you can see there's lots of meat on it, and that's got the whole of the neck fillet, so there's tons of meat on that. And what we're trying to do, like my first video and my second video, is we're trying to use some of these cuts that would normally be ground up or minced, you know, and go to sausages or burgers, and I just want to try and do something different with them. So today we are going to cook a dish based on the Italian ossobuco, which normally you would use a veal shank or a venison shank with the bone in, but I think this would work fantastic. So what we're doing is venison neck rings with mushrooms, and the mushrooms I've got here is 25 grams of porcini, which need rehydrating, 100 grams of shiitake mushrooms, also spinning around quickly. I've got 200 ml of dry white wine, which I'm just warming in the pan, as you can see there, and I'm just going to get it rolling, put in my lovely porcini mushrooms just to start rehydrating them. I've just warmed that up on the hob. Right, we've also got 350 of chicken stock, 1 can of great, you know, good quality tomatoes. I think they're the best you can get. 1 onion, some salt and pepper, and some flour, and that's for seasoning the neck rings. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get these rehydrated, and in the meantime we're going to get on and start browning these in the pan. Now this looks a lot of ingredients again, but yet again it's a one pot wonder, all done in one pot. So I've just added a bit of oil to my cooking pot. Now we're going to season these up, and this is the easiest way if you're making any stew or casserole. No mess, no hassle. You get yourself a little bag. I've got about 2 tablespoons of plain flour. Get that in. Crank in a lot of pepper, quite a lot of pepper. Keep twisting it, and then a bit of salt. Then all you do, give that a quick shimmy, get your pieces in, twist it so you've got a bit of air in, and then just gently give it one of them, and you end up fantastically coated pieces of meat, which the flour will thicken the sauce, and when you're browning it, it will all caramelise and give you all that lovely flavour, which will stick then in the bottom of the pan. You know, we scrape it up when we add the stock and the wine, and it all helps building up those flavour layers. So there's my meat nicely coated with the flour, and all we're going to do is just add a little bit of colour. I'm going to do 2 at a time, obviously, because you don't want to put too many in the pot, because it will take the heat out of. And you may or may not have seen the first video when I used ground venison. We made a lovely pie, and the second one, those fantastic braised shanks, you know, and obviously this one. And I've got another one coming, which will be with diced venison, you know, concentrating on that front half of the beast, you know, using the cuts that you wouldn't normally use, you know, for cooking. And then obviously as time goes on, I should start using the racks, and I should do one on haunch and so forth. Anyhow, so what we're doing, I'm just going to gently brown these off, still rehydrating those lovely mushrooms. As you can see, they've plumped up, looking fantastic. As you can see, got a great caramelisation on those neck rings. That flour really helps. So into my pot, just going to put a bit more oil, and as you can see, all those lovely caramelised bits in the bottom. So my onion, I've chopped it up quite rough. You know, this ain't no chefy stuff, it's just simple food. And with that, I've got 2 bay leaves. Just give it some of that to bruise them. Take a little bit of heat out. We're just going to put a bit of colour on them now. We don't normally colour the onions, but we want a bit of caramelisation. And in the meantime, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with these lovely rehydrated porcinis. So we had 25 grams of dried porcini, and we've just rehydrated them in that 200 ml of dry white wine. So I'm going to sieve that, because that is liquid gold. We're going to use that. That's the wine and the mushrooms. Like I said, always building flavours. And with these, just get them on your board. We're just going to chop through these. And these are one of the kings of mushrooms. So just chop it, chop them up. Just give it one of them. Then what I'm going to do next is I am going to chop up my 100 grams of shiitake mushrooms. Shiitake, you say tomato, I say tomato. Let's call the whole thing off. So that's going to go back into that liquor. And I'm going to do the same with these beauties, and that will go into the wine as well. There you go, just chop through them, and that goes in there, and that's ready to go now. Just check on our onions, see how they're going on. Getting a bit of colour on them. As you can see, you know, all these flavours we're building up. And obviously with that lovely neck. And you know, all this 4/4 meat, you know, it needs this slow cooking, you know, and it's hard to come up with recipes, you know, that isn't just a stew. But I think, you know, we're getting there with the 3 I've done already. So as you can see then, in there, they took on a little bit of colour, and obviously all those bits of gold there, all that caramelised bits of venison. What we're going to do, we're going to add our mushroom mix, our porcinis, our shiitakes, which was soaked in 200 ml of dry white wine. We're going to add a tin of tomatoes, these lovely Napolina chopped ones. I mean, this is fantastic as it is, you know, mushrooms, tomato, wine, look at that. And then into that, we're going to add our chicken stock. And I'm just going to let that come up to the boil, scraping the bottom to get all those bits up. Once that comes up to the boil, we'll lay our lovely neck rings in, and then it goes into the oven. I've preheated the oven to gas.Part.3. You look up there, you'll see the conversion. And we're going to cook this initially, first of all, for an hour and a half. Right, that's just coming up to the boil. I'm going to add some of this, you know the drill, the sauce to end all sauces. And I think it's a fantastic combination, tomato and Worcester sauce. I mean, just look at a Bloody Mary, man. But you know, I used to like my bacon when I was younger, and I'd have just tomatoes with it, a load of Worcester sauce in it, and just some bread. And that is the breakfast of champions. Oh man, that tastes awesome. Oh, just going to add a bit more pepper. Check the seasoning, obviously. You need to taste and taste again. And you know where you are. Get some of that in. And all we're going to do with these lovely caramelised bits of neck, just sit them in, get all that juice in. And what we're going to do, make sure they go right in. Look at that. Hey? And once that comes up to heat again, like I said, gas.Part.3 in the oven for initially 1.5 hours. So that's bubbling away nicely. I'm going to turn that heat off. I've just made a cartouche like I did the other day, just to sit on the top. That'll help with the cooking. Obviously all the moisture and the steam will hit that, and it'll go straight back down into the dish. And obviously with the lid on, you're doubly protected. Right, this has been in for an hour and a half. As you can see how thick and rich that's got. Now, there's a lot of meat on this bone, and it's quite a well used cut. Obviously it's its neck, it uses it all the time to eat, to bend down. So it's going to take some breaking down. I mean, it's quite soft now, as you can see. But it's not quite coming off the bone. I'm going to cut a bit of that. Looks lovely. So, oh yeah, it's really tender, but I want it falling off the bone. Because if we're serving it on top of pasta, you want it nice and soft. So I'm going to put it in for another hour, and then we'll check it then. Right, here's my finished dish. My lovely venison neck, and I cooked this for 4 hours in the end. I mean, after 2 hours we checked it. You know, you could have ate it, but I wanted it to go real soft so it falls off the bone, and just look how lovely and rich that is. And you just look, oh, I'll just show you quickly how that meat will just pull off like that. That's fantastic. And just look at that colour, looks almost like chocolate sauce. So what we're going to do now is not eat it, that'll be in a minute. I'm just going to get some lovely linguine pasta on the go. So the rule for cooking pasta, as you may know, it needs to be, as I say, as salty as the Atlantic, and it really does. So we get that, got some lovely linguine. You know, you can't beat the packaged stuff, the dry stuff. This is from Italy. I'm going to take a bit. That'll be enough for one dish. I'm just going to place it in there. Let it fall. Then once that starts to bend, we'll get that in 10 minutes. Then we'll dish this up. Right, so let's serve this up. I've got my lovely linguine, which I've done al dente. I like my linguine like that. Put a bit in there like that. Try and make it a little bit fancy. And then some of this lovely sauce. If you're doing a pasta sauce, you'd actually add the pasta to the sauce, but I'm going to put a bit of that lovely sauce with those 2 mushrooms and all that tomato and wine. I'm going to put me a big hunk of this on top. You know, this isn't Michelin star cooking. This is proper rustic food. I think we'll turn it that way. You can see what you got. And there you have my fantastic venison neck with linguine. So there you have that fantastic finished dish. I mean, look at this meat. I'm going to turn the knife the other way and it just pulls apart. Let's try that lovely rich 2 mushroom gravy. Oh, and that lovely, that is amazing. That lovely al dente spaghetti. If I can get some more on the old fork. This is not a glamorous way to eat. That's part 3 finished. Now I'm going to finish this up. So give this a go if you can, guys, if you can get this. If not, use lamb neck rings, you know, but I think this goes really well with this lovely rich meat and this rich sauce. So it just remains for me to say thanks for watching, and I'm going to get this down my neck and look forward to part 4 when we work with the haunch. Thanks for watching. It's safe to say that was a lovely dish. Give it a go, folks. All the best.